Hey everybody, MorbTron here. This video will be the start, or episode 1 of my Crucible School, where if you're new to Destiny 2, or you're a new light player, or you just haven't really played much of the Crucible, and you're maybe a little bit of afraid of it even, maybe this series will help you out and give you a little bit more understanding so you can go into Crucible with maybe a little bit more confidence. In episode 1 here, I'm going to go over the very basics of Crucible in Destiny 2, how the matchmaking works, what ELO or ELO is and what it does for you for that matchmaking, and going over things like how the meta tends to shift in Destiny 2 and a few other topics. And in later episodes of this, I'll go over other topics like, map control, how to, read your opponents using radar, that sort of thing. And if you have any other ideas that you want me to cover specifically in a video, let me know in the comment section down below, and definitely hit that subscribe button if you want to catch more of these Crucible School videos. So the very first thing we're going to look at here, we're going to go into the Crucible tab, and just as of right now, this is February 19th, 2020, that I am recording this, episode 1 of Crucible School. This is the current layout of what the Crucible page looks like. Since it is the weekend, we have Trials of Osiris going on, and because Iron Banner is around this week, Iron Banner is at the bottom. To the left and the right of Trials of Osiris, you have the weekly rotating playlists. One being Clash over here on the left, and the other one over here being Countdown. The ones over on the left are usually from the Classic Mix playlist, or there'll be some other sort of special Crucible rotator. So you'll get things like Clash, you'll get Control, you'll get Supremacy, but you can also get things like Mayhem. You get things like Scorch, as well as Mayhem, or Momentum Control. Mayhem is a very special playlist where basically everybody just throws supers and heavy ammo and grenades and melee abilities at each other. It's basically chaos. It's mayhem, is what that is. Over here on the left-hand side, there's not much as far as as much of a skill gap goes. If you're looking for just to queue up for specifically for Clash, or for Mayhem, or for anything, that is your rotating playlist to go to. If you're looking to sweat it out a little bit more, on the right-hand side is usually something from the more competitive side of Destiny 2. Currently, as I'm recording this, we have Countdown, which used to be part of the competitive playlist, but now competitive is only survival. It used to be both Countdown and survival. And Countdown is a very interesting playlist where you're basically planting a bomb or trying to defend against an enemy team that is going to plant a bomb. And, well, if the bomb explodes, the team that wanted to plant the bomb, they win. And there's a time limit on it, and of course you can just kill everybody and go around that way. But it's usually either Countdown or Breakthrough, which is a playlist that nobody plays, so don't worry about it. Nobody plays Breakthrough, maybe except 2 or 3 people. Don't worry about it though. Here we have Rumble, and Rumble is going to be a very sweaty, very competitive playlist. There's 6 people in total in the match, and if you're looking to only do 1v1 engagements, you might think that Rumble is a place where you want to go to, but more often than not, you start a 1v1 and then somebody else interferes, or the third party. And to be good at Rumble, basically that's what you have to do, is know exactly where people are going to spawn in, take advantage of that, and clean up kills. So, Rumble, very competitive, where ELO and other skills are taken into account for skill-based matchmaking there. The most friendly playlist we have in Destiny 2 currently is the Control playlist, where it's 6 people versus 6 people, and there is a heavy amount of matchmaking done in Control, meaning that if you are new to the game, you are really only going to play against other people that are new to the game. If you're a veteran, like myself, or you've been playing the game for a really long time, you're going to get put up against people that are in your skill bracket. Unless you happen to be playing with friends that may be either lower in skill than you or higher in skill than you, and then you'll kind of get mixed and matched with everybody within those 2 skill brackets, and it can be an interesting time. Now over here we have Elimination. Elimination is basically like training grounds for Trials of Osiris. It basically is Trials of Osiris. Elimination is 3 people versus 3 people. You can revive each other, but there's no objective other than to get eliminations, to get kills. If you don't get kills and stall the match out, there will be a control point in the center of the map that you can capture, but just know that basically Elimination is Trials of Osiris training, and Trials of Osiris is incredibly competitive and sweaty, so Elimination will be as well. Now, Survival, or the competitive playlist, what it used to be called. This is where you're going to get things like your Crucible Pinnacle weapons, quests from Shaxx for like Luna's Howl, Recluse, Mountaintop, Revoker, that sort of thing. You're going to have to step into the Survival playlist to get those. And you're going to be placed against other people in your skill bracket. And when you start out in the season, your glory points is what you earn in the competitive playlist get reset down to 0. And the way that it used to work, and the way that it could work in the future, is you would get match made against people that are within, your point area for the season. So me being right now at 0 points in the season, because I have not played a single game of Survival this season yet, I should get placed against people at 0 if that's how the matchmaking worked. But it has about the same matchmaking as Control, where if you're a new, you're only going to get placed against people that are new. If you're a veteran, very skilled player, that's who you're going to go up against no matter how many glory points you have. And the glory point cap, or the roof, is 5,500. And that's where you get things like the very, very most pinnacle hand cannon in the game, the Not Forgotten. Not the best hand cannon in the game anymore, but it's kind of like a trophy. It's a trophy weapon. And then slightly to the right of Survival is Freelance Survival, where it's the same playlist, but Freelance Survival, you only play against solo players, and you can only queue into it if you are a solo player. So you can queue up with up to 2 of your friends at a time, because it's 3v3 in the regular survival playlist, or you can queue up solo. And if you are a solo player, I would definitely recommend queuing up for Survival Freelance, just so you don't go up against a stacked team in the regular survival playlist. It plays a lot differently. But even though it does have the same matchmaking as Control, do not expect it to have the same forgiveness as Control with its matchmaking and playstyle. It will be incredibly competitive because it is the competitive playlist. And then we have other special rotators like Iron Banner. In Iron Banner and in Trials of Osiris, your power level or light level matters. So, if you look at your character screen right here, currently my Guardian is power level 1026. Now, the way that it works currently with the artifact, I have, if you mouse over here, I have a power level of 1008 average from my currently equipped gear, and I have plus 18 bonus from the artifact. Going into Trials of Osiris and Iron Banner, it does not take into account your artifact power level, so you'll go in at 1008, or whatever your power happens to be. If I queued for one of those 2 activities right now, my power level would be 1008. But power level advantages are enabled. And what that means is if somebody is, let's say, power level 950, and I go up against them at power level 1008, I am going to do a lot more damage to them and kill them a lot quicker, and they're going to do a severely reduced amount of damage to me, so it'll be like basically fighting a raid boss. And so that's another thing that matchmaking takes into account, especially for Iron Banner, is it takes into account not only your skill, but what your current power level is, so you don't just walk all over people, or you don't get stepped on, to a degree. If you try to lower your power level manually by equipping something that's extremely low in power, the game can kind of tell, and you're not going to just be allowed to stomp on people for no reason. Now, ELO, or ELO, I have mentioned it a couple times in how skill-based matchmaking works in Destiny 2. The way that it works is your ELO, which is like an imaginary number basically, goes up by a certain amount when you win, and goes down by a certain amount when you lose. If you're curious to see what your current ELO is, you can actually go to a website called destinytracker.com, and I will put a link to this in the description down below, where you can look up your character and see where you're at. We're looking at my profile right now, but we'll look up somebody else's here in a second. But you'll kind of see here, we're looking back at my Season 8 ELO scores, and basically the lower the number, the better you are, or the higher your ELO. And you can even go into some things like match history. If we go all the way back here, you'll see recent matches. My most recent match played was an Iron Banner game where we won, and I went up by 31 points. And the amount that you go up or down isn't super calculatable. Now, if you click on the actual match itself, the website should populate and tell you exactly what ELO or what ELO points everybody was at in the match. And you can really see here how the game balances everything out. You can see the average ELO of the team that lost was 1406, and the average ELO of my team was 1548. So we should have won that match, and it even says here that Bravo had a 69% chance of winning, and we did, quite handily. So my ELO went up by a smaller amount, but if we look to the match right before that, my ELO score went down by 80, because we were probably meant to win. You'll see here, let's see, where are we? Actually, no, here we go. It said Bravo had a 57% chance of winning, so it was close to 50-50, but Bravo did end up winning. Their average ELO was a little bit higher, but not by much, less than 100, and I lost 80 points of ELO because of it. So that's kind of how that works. And the game takes into effect what your current ELO score is and tries to balance the teams out accordingly. Sometimes it can do it very well, and sometimes it can do it not very much at all. You'll see here the match before, even the one where I lost, it only went up by 9. This one's going to be pretty close, actually very far apart. My team's average ELO rating was 1586, and the enemy's team was at 1170. The game said that we had a 92% chance of winning, and we did. So, things where it jumps up or down by a very large margin are going to be matches where the ELO scores between the two teams are very close to each other. And the ones where you go up by a very small amount, you might have won against a team that the game pretty much knew you were going to win against. And in the off chance that you win against a team that you should have lost against, your ELO is going to go up tremendously. So, that is how that works. It's like an internal balancing system that you just can't see. And another thing that kind of affects ELO a lot in Destiny 2 is just actually playing matches in the playlist. So if we go back over here into our playlist screen, you'll see here we have Classic Mix, which is another playlist I haven't really talked about. This here is 6v6, and it has connection-based matchmaking. And what that means is that if you're looking for a lot less lag, supposedly Classic Mix is going to do that for you. But skill-based matchmaking is basically turned off in Classic Mix. So if you queue up here and you're a new light player that's brand new to the game, chances are you are going to go up against people that are a lot more experienced than you are. It's a very not friendly place to go for new players to the Crucible. So, and even somebody like myself that has a lot of time into the game, I generally go up against people that are a lot better than me in Classic Mix, and so I tend to not queue up for Classic Mix, especially when things like Iron Banner are in town. I tend to do things like Iron Banner or Control, rather than doing something like Classic Mix, where the matchmaking can be very one-sided, and the matches can be interesting, just to put it in a simple way. But if we go back here to Destiny Tracker, we'll look at my current season's ELO. So you'll see here in Control and Control Quick Play, which are the same. I don't know why they're separated there. You'll see I am ranked in the top 10,000 in the world for Control. I'm at the top 0.5%. And for some reason, this place tracks Gambit Prime as well. I've played a healthy amount of Gambit Prime this season, and am in the top 5,000 at the top 0.2%. But I have not played much Clash. As you'll see here, I'm at the basically very bottom for the season, and even less so for Supremacy, because I just do not ever play those. I probably only have a game the entire season so far, and I have probably more than 100 games of Control, yeah, a lot more into that. I have played some Mayhem, I do play some Iron Banner, but most of my time in Crucible has been spent in Control. Now, the last topic I want to talk to in this video is the meta. The meta in Destiny 2 is ever shifting when Bungie actually updates their sandbox. Currently, shotguns are always going to be a good option, and if you're starting out in the Crucible, I would definitely pick up a shotgun and learn how to use one. What shotguns are going to be good, that kind of depends on what the current sandbox is. Basically, a good rule of thumb is, on a shotgun, if it's got a decent amount of range on it, like this 7th Seraph CQC-12, you're going to be able to get the job done. It having a lightweight frame, it's pretty good. Another one you can look out for is the Mindbender's Ambition in the energy slot. And if you spend some time in Trials of Osiris, which I really wouldn't expect a new player to, you can pick up yourself an Astral Horizon. Or another good shotgun to use in the kinetic slot is the Parcel of Stardust. It's not the best, but it is still pretty good. It's another lightweight frame, and you can get this from playing regular Gambit. Gambit and Gambit Prime do have a host of good weapons that you can get your hands on that'll be quite competitive in Crucible. Specific weapons and all that are it's a very lengthy thing to go over, but currently, if you're a new light player, try to pick up Hard Light. It's a good auto rifle to go for. Other things that are good are like Telesto. You can get yourself The Last Word. You can get yourself Bad Juju. And then, in fact, the Menagerie has a lot of offerings for the Crucible that are also very good. If you find yourself wanting to try out fusion rifles, you can get yourself an Aaron Till FR4. Very good fusion rifle to go for and get yourself Tap the Trigger and a Range Masterwork, and you're pretty much set to go there, or Firmly Planted, but I prefer Tap the Trigger. So that's going to be it for this intro to Crucible School for new light and new players in Destiny 2. Like I said, if you have any suggestions for specific topics you want me to cover, leave those suggestions in the comment section down below. But the most important thing is, do not forget to have a good day, everybody, and I will catch you all next time.